let's get down to the feature match. Let's watch some Magic getting close to this top 8. Hello and welcome to round 14 of Grand Prix Oklahoma City. I'm Randy Buehler. I'm joined by Jacob Van Lunen, and we're getting ready to watch Gerry Thompson, who's been piloting, you call it a Grixis mid-range deck. I've seen people call it Grixis Control. It's been crushing on Magic online in recent weeks, has become a very dominant factor in the metagame there, but not a ton of it here at the GP. Gerry Thompson's been doing very well with it, though.
Yeah, and his opponent also on a Grixis Control strategy.
Oh, is that right?
But Syder is playing something pretty cool. He has splashed white in Grixis Control for Lingering Souls, much like the Jund decks did way back when Jacob Wilson and Josh Utter-Layton found themselves facing off against each other in the finals with that Jund deck that was splashing for Lingering Souls.
Interesting. So this is just more, these are both the sort of Mitgo-inspired Grixis-y control deck.
Yes.
It's just that Ace has got 3 Lingering Souls.
Seems good. I mean, it combos nicely with Liliana of the Veil. It makes the deck much better against Affinity. Makes the deck much better against Infect.
Oh, if you're going to play grindy mid-range matchups, Lingering Souls is a solid place to be.
Yeah.
Makes their Lilianas really good, really bad, like you say. Oh, and wow, here Liliana kills Jace. Is that how the storyline is supposed to go? I haven't really read that story. Baby Jace never grows up. Planeswalker Spark never turns on. He just ran into Liliana. All right, Tasigur shows up.
A decent number of ways to kill Tasigur in Asa's deck list. Not a ton, though. 1 Dreadbore and a pair of Terminates. But he could protect his Liliana here if he has Lingering Souls, and he does. That's going to mean Gerry's going to need a... Oh, and he has Dreadbore for the Tasigur, too, so... A wealth of riches here for Asa.
Dreadbore? I knew Terminate was starting to make it into these lists, but Dreadbore?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I know Brian Kowal was talking about how Hero's Downfall is actually a solid play. Dreadbore? If you're going to play Hero's Downfall, maybe Dreadbore's better.
Yeah.
2 mana versus instant speed? I don't know.
It's close.
Yeah. See, it does seem close.
Gerry actually has a Dreadbore in his sideboard. When I take a look here. Oh, wow. And Lingering Souls here showing us how powerful it is. A plus on the Liliana there, forcing Gerry to discard a card, and Asa going to just make 2 spirits off of it.
This is a pair down for Gerry Thompson, so Asa is hoping that a pair of wins in these last 2 rounds will be good enough. He's hoping 12-2-1 can get him into top 8, but he's not counting on it. And with those double draws from the 4 players on 12-1, it makes it a lot less likely that a 12-2-1 gets in.
Gerry going to fetch with Steam Vents in response to this Lightning Bolt. And Asa only has 1 red source, so Gerry could maybe use something like a Mana Leak here. I'm sorry, Remand. To bounce that Lightning Bolt back to Asa's hand. And unless Asa has another red source, Gerry will have successfully forced Asa to use Liliana to kill the Jace.
You're right about that Lingering Souls here. It looks great.
Gerry does have ways to combat through it, though. He is PN Kira Nalar.
Sure. Also has Jace number 3.
Gerry has a decent number of options.
So far, every option he's explored has resulted in his guys dying.
Yeah, and Asa pulling ahead in card advantage also. That Liliana, made Gerry discard a card and killed a pair of Jaces
Yeah.
And Asa didn't even have to, well, he had to discard, but it was Lingering Souls, so.
Gurmag Angler. The zombie fish. 5/5, 1 mana. But, hey, Gerry's prepared. He runs Terminate to deal with this. He's even got Dismember to deal with this. He's just a guy you have to be prepared to kill if you're going to play a Modern deck that wants the game to go more than 4 or 5 turns.
Yeah, here we see, I believe Gerry has a Kolaghan's Command in hand.
Interesting.
So he's going to go ahead and fire that off right now. I imagine he's going to... Oh, so he forces Asa to discard a card, and then he returns Jace Vryn's Prodigy back to his hand. So valuing a card in Asa's hand over one of these 1/1 spirits.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I was kind of expecting a spirit to die. Kolaghan's Command giveth. Kolaghan's Command taketh away. Killing Jace and forcing Gerry to discard Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, the last card in Gerry's hand, too.
Crazy good.
Gerry'd very much like to find Pia and Kira. But even then, I mean, he's under pressure from these tar pits, too. 2 creeping tar pits. Both of the creeping tar pits in Asa Syder's deck are on the battlefield right now.
Mm-hmm.
Gerry, seeing the writing on the wall, uses Thought Scour targeting his opponent to see some more information.
Yeah, that did not seem like a good sign. Here's Rise Fall. He's decided for Fall.
Yeah, so he gets to kill a token and return the Tasker back to play.
Rise is the Hymn to Torok side, is that right?
I believe Fall is the
Oh,
Hymn to
Fall
Torok
is it,
side.
so he chose Rise
Yeah.
for Raise Dead and...
Looks pretty good here. I mean, he gets the Tasker back and deals with Spirit Token.
Yeah.
Then again, I mean, he's in a pretty rough spot. These creeping tar pits are going to creep their way toward victory. Gerry now falling to 7 here.
Lightning Bolt U.
Oh, 5.
Yeah.
Never mind.
All right, Creeping Tar Pit, Spirit Token. Gerry's at 1. And yeah, Asa Snyder. The splash into Grixis of Lingering Soul was huge that game. Those 2 Lingering Souls tokens that came out after he discarded it to Liliana did a lot of the damage to Gerry's life total. And just that matchup feels like it's all 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s, 2-for-1s.
Yeah, which is rare in Modern. Modern is, the cards are so cheap that normally it's just 1-for-1, 1-for-1, 1-for-1. And the reason you play cards like Kolaghan's Command is because you're picking up these 2-for-1s. And now we watch these guys deep in the tournament, and they're playing cards like Risefall and Lingering Souls and just grinding each other to pieces.
Don't forget, coming up next weekend, the Community Cup. That cast of characters you see pictured at the top of your screen will be taking on 8 of Wizards' finest. Should be a fun tournament.
Yeah, should be fun to watch.
You can see on the back table, Brian Braun-Duin also sitting on 2 losses and playing for his tournament life. He is up a game and shuffling back there. Meanwhile, on a back table, Doug Hendrickson has taken the first game from Brad Nelson. Another elimination match. All these guys on 33 points are totally in control of their own destiny. They just need to go 2-0 and get to 13-2. That should be good enough. Now, the 4 guys who drew this round, meanwhile, are all rooting for Asa Snyder. Gerry Thompson getting paired down and losing is exactly the kind of thing that...
yeah, it makes their play pretty clean.
Yeah, Joseph Reeder in particular is, I think, the odd man out. Reeder, Ryder, not sure exactly how that name's pronounced, but he is the bottom man on tiebreakers of the 4 players who took a draw this round. So I think he did not like his scape shift matchup is the word that I'm hearing. Now, I think he's on Affinity. I think he's on Hangerback Affinity in particular. I guess the Hangerback Affinity deck is slow enough that he didn't like the scape. It doesn't seem like a matchup that would be bad for Affinity. But yeah, the word I'm hearing is he didn't like the scape shift matchup, so take the draw now and then see what happens. Maybe you have to play the last round, but, I mean, if your choice is maybe double draw will work out because the pair downs all lose, and or I can just play against a random match instead of a match I know is bad.
Yeah,
reasonable judgment call.
Yeah, scape shift. I mean, scape shift is definitely bad for Affinity. They have like fog effects in the form of Cryptic Command, but they also have just tons of spot removal, and they really just have to survive for enough turns because once they get to scape shift mana, they can just seal
but
it
your
up.
typical Affinity deck, enough turns, you need multiple fog effects. The Affinity deck can kill you in 4 turns.
Yeah, not through like lightning bolts and electrolyzes and anger of the gods necessarily though. And you have to remember Secure Tribuilder like blocks and then gets sacrificed. Like there's definitely a number of turns that.
So Affinity versus scape shift, you'd rather be on the scape shift side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially because post board scape shift decks like all have Creeping Corrosion, Fracturing Gust, Ancient Grudge.
I'm not really thinking about the sideboarded games. I'll buy that. All right, Brian Bronduin and Mason King have shuffled faster. They won the shuffle contest, so we get a peek at their second game. BBD up a game here, and Pyroclasm's away the first Scavenging Ooze. Brian's on 2-color twin. None of this Grixis teamer nonsense, just blue cards and red cards. Mason King, meanwhile, not on Jund, but it's one of the few Abzan players. Most of our green-black X players set X equal to red.
Yeah, the power level of Terminate and Lightning Bolt in the current setup of the format, really leading people to do that.
Ooh, Blood Moon. Already 2 basics, though, and now Mason can go get... I mean, if he's got a basic Plains in his deck, this is just great.
Yeah, he's got a home free.
There it is, basic Plains.
And that Blood Moon hurts Brian more than it hurts Mason at this point.
I guess. I mean, he kind of needs red mana anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really bothering either person. But hypothetically, if Brian only has other non-basics, then it can put him off Cryptic, which likely is not in your deck after you're sideboarding in Blood Moon.
Yeah, it makes it a lot harder for Mason to cast Liliana, though.
That's definitely true.
I mean, you see Mason with that first Marsh Flats went and got basic Forest. I mean, he played it smart, right? He knew that his twin opponent could have Blood Moon. So, first fetch land, basic Forest. Had the basic swamp in his draw, and then obviously responds. Oh, wow, yeah. Straight to Siege Rhino. No Blood Moon, no problem. Straight to Siege Rhino.
This is interesting. So the other thing, though, is that post-sideboard, Mason King will not have Liliana in his deck against Twin. I would assume.
Fair enough.
Liliana's pretty good against some of the combo strategies, the ones that Abzan is not good against, but the combo strategies that Abzan is naturally strong against, like Splinter Twin. Like Splinter Twin is better against Abzan than it is against Jund. That's why so many players moved to Jund this weekend instead of Abzan.
Got it. You want to hang out here and see how this game plays out, or should we go back to Gerry? I
kind of want to watch the Gerry game. That's pretty exciting deck. The Lingering Soul Splash and Grixis.
Yeah, I'll buy that.
I feel like that may be the future of Modern. So maybe we should.
All right, let's head back then. Gerry Thompson is down a game. He thought he was ahead of the curve with the Grixis control deck, but his opponent here
is like one step ahead even.
Exactly, even a step ahead of Gerry. Grixis Souls, Lingering Souls, Grixis control, whatever you want to call it.
Here Gerry's on the play, though, which seems like it's really important in this matchup. Getting to activate your Jace first.
Yeah, dueling Vryn's Prodigies here. Gerry does indeed get to activate first.
Imagine if he has a removal spell, probably fire it off. He could just discard a Jace and then use the Rise side of Risefall to bounce his opponent's Jace and return his Jace to his hand.
It's going to do the same trick, but with Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, and that works in that regard also. And then you can even snap the rise fall back the following turn.
So what you're telling me is Jerry's really playing a rise fall deck.
Yeah, there's one copy in his main deck and one copy in his sideboard, but it's my favorite card.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he does.
Bounce your Jace, regrow my Snapcaster.
And it's like a draw 2.
It is yet another 2-for-1, sort of. I mean, the bounce part is kind of card disadvantage, so he basically broke even there.
Well, no, because the card that he discarded from the Jace, he drew a card from Jace, and then he got to return that back to his hand.
Right.
So then the rise fall turns that back to his hand. Oh, I guess you're right. It's just breaking even.
It's like a 2-for-2, but
yeah, it's a 2-for-2. It's just a tempo advantage.
Well, the tempo advantage is real and nice, although Liliana does set some of that off. It's interesting, though, that Gerry, because he discarded a Snapcaster, he didn't let Asa know that he happens to have a second Jace in his hand. Oh, Molten Rain, are you kidding me? Molten Rain, and the 2 damage from the Molten Rain is redirected to kill Liliana.
Yeah, and actually I played against Michael Majors, who's playing the same deck as Gerry in a daily event this week on Magic Online, and that's how he killed my Liliana, too. He Molten Rained me, and when I was playing Jund, and I just got blown out. I was like, oh, my
goodness. That was insane. I mean, there are 2-for-1s, and then there are 2-for-1s that also tempo. That was great. Asa calmly says, well, I was saving my white mana. You didn't take that away from me.
Looks like Gerry has both copies of Glenalandra Archmage in his hand.
Huh.
Which matches up pretty well against Lingering Souls.
That's true.
In
Sometimes
addition to
you just
also
need an expensive Windrake? That's what you're telling me?
Well, I mean, it also just,
the ability to counter 2 spells is pretty good. Yeah, I'll buy that.
It's pretty good.
Wow, that Molten Rain was insane. I mean, I like this Rise Fall. The Rise Fall's good, but in the battle of Rise Fall versus Lingering Souls.
Yeah, Lingering Souls is a powerful, powerful Magic card.
Not sure Gerry has a 4th land either. I mean, he would happily play out a Glenalandra Archmage, but can't. Mills 2 spells off the top of his deck and finds a land. I mean, it's random, but it worked out. Now what?
I mean, I think the only spell he can cast in his hand is the fall side of Rise Fall, so I think it's just going to go for the him.
Sure. So Asa discards 2 cards at random, but if they're lands, he gets them back?
Yeah, he doesn't discard them if they're lands. So
2 cards. What do we get?
5, it's a reroll. 4, so
a
1.
Jace. And a negate. Good old-fashioned Hymn to Thorak. 2 mana, you lose 2 cards at random. It's a very good, very powerful effect. Meanwhile, the Lingering Souls tokens keep chipping away.
So much value.
Is Gerry at 14 or is he down to 10?
I'm not sure.
I feel like our life total hasn't updated in a little while. Oh, and Gerry drew the land he needed so that he has the ability to activate Glenalandra, in addition to just summoning her.
Yeah, and Asa Snyder not playing any counter magic in his main deck. Post board, he gets access to a pair of negates and a dispel. But yeah, once Glenalandra Archmage comes down.
Well, it doesn't counter Snapcaster Mage. And now all I can do is trade.
Yeah, it'll trade with the Snapcaster at least, and he has another one in his hand, for what it's worth.
Still, those spirits.
Like spirits are just rumbling away.
Our life total can't possibly be right. Those Lingering Souls tokens have tapped multiple times.
Yeah, maybe Gerry's at 9. That seems about.
I would believe 9.
Right.
I would also believe 14.
All right.
You just have to trade with Snapcaster, right?
I think you have to. I think you're under the gun. It is what it is.
Trade with a flyer, but yeah, trades with the Snapcaster. It's going to take 4. Cracks the fetch land to fall to 9.
And Lingering Souls really, really holding it together here for Gerry. Gerry, though, he does have a copy of Is It Staticaster in his sideboard.
Of course he does.
Is the
all
absolute perfect answer.
Definitely. He is all about finding the perfectly crazily good obscure cards, isn't he? Now, is Glenelendra good enough? You take 3, you take 2, you take 1. Yes, it is good enough if it survives to hold off the Spirit Army. By the way, that other match we were looking at, Mason King versus Brian Braun-Duin, BBD won the match.
Ooh.
Comboed off that second game that we saw the beginning of, and he stays alive for top 8. These are basically elimination matches for top 8. Nobody's going to be clinching the top 8, but BBD has earned himself a winning in. Yeah, Glenelendra does not, in fact, get to survive as a 2/2. Gerry trades it for a Dreadbore and a Spirit token. Wow. More tokens. Now we're 2 attacks from dead. 2 attacks from Ace of Snyder. Keeping his dream alive, although this is a pair down match. Ace of Snyder does not control his own destiny.
Yeah, Ace of Snyder, even with another win in the last round, is likely not in top 8, especially after all those draws around him.
Yep.
So for Gerry, this is a back against the wall type of situation. For Asa, he's just trying to squeak out some pro points, squeak out a little bit of extra prize.
I mean, he's still dreaming of top 8. Like,
oh yeah, it's
close enough that
possible.
you play it out and cross your fingers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't deprive yourself of the opportunity to hit that.
This was the Molten Rain killing Liliana game, too. Thought Gerry was in good shape. It's all about this Lingering Souls. There's some good tech.
That's some very, very powerful tech.
For the mirror.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
And it's also it really helps the Infect and Affinity matchups a lot also.
Sure. I mean, this Lingering Souls has been around. This is why people are playing Abzan instead of Jund.
Yeah.
I guess it's just the twin matchup says go back to Jund. Grixis maybe can splash Lingering Souls without having to surrender the twin matchup. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I guess that seems to make sense to me. So Snapcaster Mage here can, I guess he could target Rise-Fall, then he can bounce a token and return a Kira and P and Alar back to his hand.
Sure.
Then that gives him
I mean, the Thopters are fast enough to block in theory.
Yeah, they can get there.
We're just at the point, though, where Gerry has to start assuming that his opponent just doesn't have anything.
Yeah.
Like, well, if my opponent's holding blanks, I can go to 3. Then next turn, I play a couple of Thopters. I go to 1. But meanwhile, yeah, he's dead to a lightning bolt. He's dead to any number of things.
Yeah. Is there a lightning bolt in Asa's graveyard at this point? So then he's to do Snapcaster Mage too.
Remember one this game.
Seems very rough for Gerry Thompson.
Yep. Yeah, Asa's just flying. Okay. Flashback Lingering Souls. This seems good enough.
Here it is. Is it Staticaster off the top?
Polygon's command.
Polygon's command.
I don't see a line that even buys him a turn.
Yeah, now with that.
I guess Asa blocking might have helped. No, don't want to block? Okay. How about this? I mean, it's 2 Thopters, but the Alpha Strike is still lethal. Interesting matchup. I mean, I see a lot of power in this Grixis deck and a lot of cool tech in Gerry's version of it in particular. But it does not look like Gerry's going to make this top 8.
Ooh.
Yeah, now it definitely looks bad. Kolaghan's command. I mean, also doesn't know what Gerry has, so he's got to be at least a little worried. Gerry can mana leak this, yeah. I've got the mana leak, but whatever. You're going to Alpha Strike me, and that is going to do it. Snyder, victorious, goes to 11-2-1, probably earns himself a win in 9th next round. But that's still good solid money, good solid pro points.
Yeah.
Gerry T would very much like those pro points next round. He's trying to get back to the top of the Players Club where he was when he left to go do an internship inside Magic R&D. Not going to be the top 8 here, but still looks like he's playing good Magic and back to uncovering cool tech for sure.
Hats off, though, to Snyder. He really found even more cool tech.
It's true. He's 1 card, but yeah.
It makes a big difference, though.
Oh,
Lingering Souls is
You speak the truth. Meanwhile, over on the Turbo match, Brad Nelson would like to play a win-in next round. Brad Nelson with Jund is paired up against Doug Hendrickson, who appears to be on a Zoo deck. Wild Nicodle coming over for 3 right away.
Ooh, and Flinthoof Boar.
Wow, nice.
Gabe Carlton Barnes would be proud.
It's a pretty fast start on the play, too.
Yeah, pair of 3/3s coming out of the gates.
Experiment 1 is in this deck.
Oh, this is a very, very traditional Zoo deck. This
yeah,
is almost
this is
like
just
a burn
red
deck.
green. Experiment 1 to Coddle, Curdape, Goblin Guide, Burning Tree Emissary, Tarmogoyf, Gorklan Rampager, Flinthoof Boar. 30 creatures. It's just red green beats.
Yeah. Yeah, he has 2 Path to Exile, so he is a little Naya-y, but
And a Tarkus command. It's been updated. It's not too low. There's the Tarkus command for the win right there. So
yeah.
Doug Hendrickson takes game 1. 30 creatures and 4 Atarkus command in a red-green beatdown deck. Just a touch of white. I mean, it is Naya. I mean, whatever. It's a Zoo deck, but a very creature-heavy Zoo deck.
Yeah, Brad, when he was talking to me, was saying he tried to build the best day 2 deck possible.
Okay.
So he's weak to really aggressive strategies, and this has not seemed to be his day 2.
I mean, what? He's still playing for top 8 of the Grand Prix with 2 rounds to go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's not like he had the worst time ever, but we watched him lose to Jasper Johnson Epstein earlier, and it's down a game here against Zoo. We'll have to see how it shakes out. Had the requisite bolt for turn 1 Wild Nicodle. Very important.
Burning Tree Emissary go? It's not the way Doug Hendrickson drew it up.
Definitely not.
Bolt for the ooze. BTE gets in. This is like a game that could very much go either way. Oh, no 3rd land for Brad.
Yeah.
His deck needs mana more than Doug's does.
Yeah, by a lot. I mean, he has to kind of hope that his opponent's on some type of flood if he's going to have a chance here.
Does have the removal spell for the Emissary. Terminate takes that down.
So he's getting a land main phase. Is this Gorklan Rampager we're going to see?
Summon it. Yeah, do what you got to do.
Why it's so good. I mean,
4/4 for 4. Why not?
Yeah, 4/4 Trampler for 4 is a decent rate.
Doug Hendrickson with a little bit of a flood. He is on 5 mana, but
Pair of 4/4 Tramplers is pretty good.
Of Gorklan Rampagers. That seems really tough for Brad Nelson to deal with. How big is Tarmogoyf?
I believe
Instant
it's a
creature
4/5?
land.
instant creature.
It's a big
land?
difference between 4/5 and 3/4. What else
That's
is there?
true.
Instant creature land.
Oh, it's just instant creature land.
I haven't
then.
seen a sorcery. I think it's
You're right.
3/4. Yeah, he has to double block. Gorkland, I mean, yeah, which means he's dead to any removal spell. But I mean, whatever. There's 2 4/4s coming over. You have to do this. Yeah, Hendrickson's a little hesitant to use his Path to Exile and give Brad a land, but you totally do it to win that combat.
Yeah.
Now, there's still 2 4/4 Gorkland Rampagers. Oh,
Maelstrom
Maelstrom Pulse! Did that just happen?
Wow, it did.
Oh my goodness, Path to Exile gave Brad the land that he needed to Maelstrom Pulse 2 Gorkland Rampagers. Game on.
Yeah. Kitchen
Kitchen
Finks.
Finks.
Well,
little
Kitchen
bit of
Finks,
life.
The life was negated by a Tarkus command, I believe.
Oh, okay. Still. You can trade it with Burning Tree Emissary and pick up a couple life that time. Unbelievable. A bit of a flood for Doug Hendrickson. I thought he was going to get there with those Gorkland Rampagers, but yeah, he
looked like he was going to, but Maelstrom Pulse ended up doing what Maelstrom Pulse often does.
It took a Path to Exile for Brad to finally find that third land. Whatever. I mean, Doug was correct. I don't think he did anything wrong. It's just
I definitely would have done the same.
And now Olivia is in the house. Olivia has been chained to the rocks? That's a thing that happens in Modern?
I've not seen that before in Modern.
The white splash, Path to Exile, and chained to the rocks in from the sideboard.
Brad's life total getting dangerously low.
It's got to be
here.
low. Inquisition reveals a land. Oh, Maelstrom Pulse for the chain to the rocks. Olivia has been freed from her prison. Yeah, snap block. Brad Nelson got that.
Yeah.
Wow. He had 2 land until turn 5? 6? Wait, I think Brad did get that, right?
I believe Brad got that. Oh,
yeah, they're
not.
re-sideboarding? Yeah, I think they're just going back and re-sideboarding. Like, there's a lot of cards coming out of Brad's deck. I'm like, is he unsideboarding? Nobody's reached for the match flip, though. Pretty sure,
Yeah.
Doug just, did the attack to see if Brad would mess it up, and Brad didn't. Olivia and Kitchen Finks tag-teamed their way to the victory after Maelstrom Pulse.
Well, now Brad's on the draw.
Yeah, this is the tough game.
And the last time he went, he had to fight through some flood. Pretty important for Brad to have a lightning bolt in his hand against this deck.
Experiment 1 is the play.
No lightning bolt for Brad. Things could get out of hand quick. Oh.
Coddle triggers Experiment 1.
No second land, though.
Oh,
for Doug
my.
Hendrickson.
He kept 1 land with Nicodle Experiment 1.
Well, I mean, I might, too. Nicodel's
And
only
lightning
a 2/2,
bolt?
though.
He's got a Lightning Bolt, too. I can see in his hand.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think you keep that, right?
Plausible.
Well,
Has now
down the
found
second land.
You know what else he's got in his hand?
Mutagenic growth?
That was the card I saw.
Yeah, that would.
The Lightning Bolts are not going to be good enough. Wow, Burning Tree
Acutely aware
Emissary
of,
into Flinthoof Boar, but it's Terminate, not Lightning Bolt from Brad. Does not get blindsided by Mutagenic Growth. Still, Doug Hendrickson may have missed a land, may have missed a turn, but he's put a fair number of creatures onto the board. Liliana makes him sack. He decides on Nicodle.
Interesting.
Rather than Burning Tree Emissary. That is interesting. Kills Liliana and deals some damage to Brad. 2 more creatures come down.
Oh, so he had another Wild Nicodle on his hand, so he's playing around Maelstrom Pulse.
Got it.
Yeah.
4 creatures on the board. Kind of a turn later than Doug would have gotten them down if he could have found land number 2 on turn 2. But turn 3, I don't know. It looks like it might be good enough. How does Brad recover from...
Brad needs something like Anger of the Gods. Does he have any Anger of the Gods in his deck? I don't think he does. He might have something like Huntmaster of the Fells? Which I don't even think that's good enough. Olivia Voldaren.
Dies to lightning bolt.
That's it.
And now the attack is lethal. So Doug Hendrickson defeats Brad Nelson. Brad showed up with a Jund deck. He was not expecting a lot of aggro, but he got paired against Doug Hendrickson's Zoo deck. He got paired against Jasper Johnson Epstein's Burn deck. What's his third loss?
His third loss was Elves.
And he got paired against Elves.
Yep.
So he's gotten paired against 3 different aggro decks, and those are his 3 losses. So Brad Nelson will not be making this top 8, and that is going to wrap things up for round 14 here at the GP.